Hello, this is Devin.
I'm Matt.
And I'm Brent.
And we're at the Rose City Book Pub, and we're going to be talking today about, oh, yes, and here's a mug with the logo on it. And we're going to be talking about 5 trends in technology in education. So I'm going to get started. So the first one that we're going to be talking about is augmented and virtual reality. So when it comes to this advance in education, I was really excited about this opportunity and what it might do for learning. The idea that we could enhance the real world with new avenues for learning is pretty amazing, I thought. Augmented and virtual reality allows students to have an immersive learning experience from almost anywhere in the world. The software and hardware has gotten a lot of attention with a lot of articles and magazine clips being written about it. Organizations have developed applications to allow students to explore historical trends. It's been used to help train police officers in handling conflicts. And then it also has allowed businesses to explore data in new ways. So while the idea of augmented reality has many educators thinking about extensive possibilities, it would appear that much like the MOCs that we've been learning about the last week, the hype might be a lot bigger than the reality. Other than medical and engineering education, the application in other areas of higher education is probably going to be a lot more difficult to use. The cost of the hardware and software is probably way too expensive for many of the cash-strapped schools. Application and designing learning objectives could be difficult for many faculty, excuse me, and it could overload students cognitively and emotionally. So while it sounds like it's a game-changing tool, I'm not sure it's going to be effective throughout higher education, at least for a while. However, for me, I'm hoping that we're able to effectively use it because I really want to be able to explore the pyramids from my own house. So that's the first one. Anything else to add? No? Okay. All right, so the second area that I wanted to talk about is regarding technology and inclusion. I decided to take this topic because I am interested in inclusion and diversity as part of my dissertation work in the future, so I definitely wanted to look at that. Distance education has become essential for higher education. As of 2015, almost 6 million students were enrolled in distance education, and that's according to the Department of Education. Excuse me. The entire last year of our program has been completed completely online, so even doctoral education can be done that way. Online learning is often thought to help lower costs and increase student access. However, it's not always the case. Learning outcomes for many students in online settings are often worse than at traditional education, with a lot higher dropout rates as well. Online courses can also still be influenced by implicit bias. And beyond that, education needs of disabled students are often not being met, both in hardware but also with online learning as well. So disabled students are often getting hit both ways. So unfortunately, many students that have disabilities or require some kind of adaptive technology are not having, what they need from their institutions. So while technology can be a hindrance to learning and inclusion, it can also be something that can help to increase if it's used well. Tools are available to monitor student performance right away to help students who might be struggling. Faculty can also see how they respond to students right away to help inform their implicit bias issues. And then, of course, applying the hardware and software applicably for students with disabilities can actually help increase access if it's done well. So while technology is not meeting our needs currently, I do feel that long term, if we use it well, inclusion could be increased in education. So those are my 2 trends that I was looking into.
The trend that I was looking into is digital security and 5G. Now, first of all, perhaps the most significant technology trend in higher education is right now is in the form of threats. With many teachers and learners using technology, institutions have found themselves locked into an expansive and ever-changing arms race to protect users from cyber security risks. Colleges are constantly combating the challenges of phishing attacks, cloud security, network infiltration through gaps in their security and unsecured devices. Fighting these threats is expensive. And more expansive is the risk of it becoming a reality. So, for instance, about 9% of security breaches in the United States have been security breaches that have resulted in very expensive fixes. In 2016, the University of Calgary announced that they had paid a ransom of $16,000 to retrieve research data that was held for ransom. The biggest offense, of course, for institutions is user education. 91% of cyber attacks start with a malicious email. Just the other day, I received a phishing email that was addressed from my president, or the president of my college, asking for my help on something. An unsuspecting user might have opened that thinking it was real. The click of an email is all it takes to allow malicious software, an unwanted hacker, into the system. Now, when it comes to 5G, college campuses are starting to feel the stress of overburdened networks. Students across the campus are using Wi-Fi for more for their laptops and tablets. Probably the biggest load on the networks is due to nearly every college student having a smartphone that connects automatically to the institution's wireless network the moment they step onto campus. 5G could be the solution. It's about 40 times faster than Wi-Fi, and it is more reliable. This means students will have even quicker access to information, hence expanding their personal networks. Both George Siemens and Stephen Downes believe that people learn through networks that allow learners to make conceptual connections from sharing of new ideas. Ultimately, this helps learners deepen their understanding. Prensky believes the brains of the newest generations have evolved to be wired differently, learning from peer networks and constantly expanding to each other's knowledge.
Alrighty.
So the last part we want to talk about today is Generation Z. So this is important because this is the group of students that's really starting to come through colleges now. Generation Z is defined by many groups or scholars that do anthropological research and divide generations up. Classifies these as starting from people that were born in 1985 to the year 2010. So students anywhere between the ages of that have already gone through an undergraduate education, and then some that are just now going to be starting college pretty soon in about 8 or 10 years. So they're elementary age now, but then they will be soon going through. The biggest thing about this is that, as we've learned about in some of our other coursework so far, is that this group is known as the digital native group. So essentially what that means is they're growing up with technology in their hand, having cell phones around, having access to internet, being on social media, and not only knowing how to use those things, but being completely adept with using all those technologies on a daily basis. What this means for higher education is that if instructors want to be able to reach those students, they can't just know how to use the technology, they need to be able to know how to use it well. Some of the topics we've talked about today, such as augmented reality, increasing uses of cell phone networks and things like that to get information and data across, and also what we've discussed as well with our current online education, is that you can't just use the technology at all. It has to be in a way that's effective for the student and helping them to be able to learn the content of the courses or the program that they're trying to accomplish. So simply having a discussion forum that has no interaction, or having videos that are poor quality that don't discuss what is actually being brought up in the course aren't effective, and students will even get to a point where they won't pay attention to this because they'll feel that it's almost an insult to them because they're so used to having this technology and seeing that there's many groups that are using it very well. So it's something very important to keep in mind for instructors, that they have to become comfortable with it, so that way they're able to effectively take their teaching that most of them already know how to do very well in a traditional face-to-face classroom, but being able to adapt that to essentially what we're doing right now with making a webcam video or recorded lecture or something similar, so those students can understand that content from essentially anywhere if they're able to access a 5G network and Wi-Fi and things like that.
So is there anything else that we want to add on any of these topics? Or do we want to say goodbye?
No, I think that's
All right.
so.
Well, that is our post for this assignment. We hope that you learned something new, and we'll talk to you later. Thank you.
Bye.